You are one who will remain, who wants to be oppressed, and so therefore everything that the government does, you take all the exceptions. I can even help you market the exceptions. Exactly. That interaction is what I don't want. Thank God that you know about that. Saving people, when he mentioned that people who are oppressed, definitely was describing you. And there's something else that struck me in terms of the fact that you contradicted yourself. On one hand, you say, okay, the national anthem is different from the office of the president, and then you go on down the line to talk about people who do not accept the president, then they shouldn't use the currency. When did you match the offices and all those ideology or whatever it is that you wanted to match? And what I found surprising was how you were talking about opposition. If we wanted to talk about opposition to government, then we should have brought the politicians here who are in opposition for them to discuss and not
my
talk
people,
about
my
when
people.
they are not here.
As I dey talk to Nana, Kasala don boss, Yawa don gas. Aisha Yusuf, he don't carry. You see the way he take put one person where you both they call worthless slave, one TINUBU, one Pablo Escobar, you know, worthless slave. And they called my, they talk this one fast, me, you know, or Gazugabe AI not go grab. So one Pablo Escobar worthless slave, he Aisha Yusuf don't carry, don't the guy for live television because say he they support Pablo Escobar. He want try talk against Peter Obi. He want see my people. This update is worth it. You got to watch this. Hey, as I hear the way Aisha Yusuf just they give this Pablo Escobar let's live. You just give him water. But belly they drink me reader. I will say outside the compounter. For English, they call her founder. Guys, let's watch the video now. But do me a favor, please. Before you watch this video, help me like it so that Facebook and YouTube can recommend it now. And also make sure you share this video with share and on that Nigeria Siam. Because this video, just watch it and thank me later. It makes sense finish.
Activists, engagement farmers, and attention merchants. The world has evolved progressively to a point where we think there are no longer gatekeepers, as it seems. But we forget that gatekeeping is not only about shutting the door, it is about opening the door as well. And while it is more popularly known for preventing access, it is indeed very much about giving access. The actions of the popular activist Aisha Yusuf, as recently captured and shared on our own Twitter page, showed her seated at an event in protest against the national anthem, while other citizens, despite their possible misgivings about it, honored the country. The behavior gives access to decadence in society. Speaking of gatekeeping, this is an example of an adult asking the younger ones not to obey the law of the land and its constitutions. The president, the office of the president, and the national anthem are different expressions and reinforcements of our sovereignty at home and abroad that must be upheld and respected. My advocacy today is that we begin to employ a more constructive and intelligent way of opposition. Social media would allow anything does not mean that we should feed it anything. It is a show of shame and outright lawlessness. And speaking of the anthem, one would have expected that a more cerebral breakdown and analysis would have presented a more solid argument. It is akin to those who say the current president is not their president. Then, who is your president? You might as well cease from spending the currency of the nation. I believe that the opportunity that social media presents is a level playing field where anyone can engage anyone. And this is a good thing as it fosters information and knowledge exchange. But what we see lately is a very weak, uncoordinated opposition that does not have genuine persuasion besides making sensational content. And the younger followers have followed suit without a role model to caution them and show them what the actual power of opposition can look like. I look forward to a Nigeria where we can engage on the real issues and do so brilliantly in order to present us with a valid reason to support the aspiration of credible and respectable opposition to the government, not throwing ridiculous tantrums in front of the whole world. No doubt we're in an attention economy, but we can leave that for the entertainers.
I think my name was mentioned, so yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Because you, Yinka Obebe, have decided that you are one who will remain, who wants to be oppressed, and so therefore everything that the government does, you take all the exceptions. I can even help you market the exceptions. Exactly, that interaction is what I don't want. Thank God that you know about that. So the people, when he mentioned that people who are oppressed, definitely was describing you. And there's something else that struck me in terms of the fact that you contradicted yourself. On one hand, you say, okay, the national anthem is different from the office of the president, and then you go on down the line to talk about people who do not accept the president, then they shouldn't use the currency. When did you match the offices and all those ideology or whatever it is that you wanted to match? And what I found surprising was how you were talking about opposition. If we wanted to talk about opposition to government, then we should have brought the politicians here who are in opposition for them to discuss and not talk about them when they are not here at the table to be able to talk back to you too. And when it comes to issue of role model, fine. There were how many people there who stood up? Why are you not discussing them and telling us how they have been so much of a role model to you? And the thing is that people must not abdicate their responsibilities of occupying their office of the citizen. They must not abdicate their responsibility of being citizens. If we have captured people who are willing to be captured, Yinka Obebe, you have a right to be a captured citizen. I don't want to be a captured citizen, and so I won't be. So the issue of role model is for you to go on and be that role model. First of all, you called me an activist. I'm sorry, I'm not an activist. I'm an active Nigerian citizen who refuse to be silenced, who refuse to allow people who are the same. No Nigeria is more Nigeria than any Nigerian. And of course, those people will not strip me of my citizenship, because that's exactly what you're trying to do. And for the younger generation, you see what has happened. This country is as dead as it is because we have people who decided that they are not citizens, they are slaves, and they allow people to walk over them, do everything on them, and continue to allow you specifically mention my name. So I have a right of response, and I will respond to you. And the way I sat down here and listened to every word of ridiculousness and every insult you try to put there, you will also sit down and you will listen to me. And you know, another thing also is the fact that the people who are educated, they are the worst kind of people we have in this country. They are the mentally abducted people who come out and put a persona of intelligence. They think they are intelligent. The next person issue, if you wanted us to quickly move on to the next person, you should not have mentioned Aisha Yusuf. You should have spoken on your advocacy. But now that you have mentioned Aisha Yusuf, I'll borrow your time. And now that you have mentioned Aisha Yusuf, you will listen to Aisha Yusuf, and you will not interrupt Aisha Yusuf the same way Aisha Yusuf sat down and listen to you. And so for the younger generation, we have a country that is messed up. We now have gotten to a stage where our children are stateless. They are running all over the world looking for where they will call home, because we have people like Yinka Obebe who have said that they are captured and they have a right to it. I don't have any issue with that. But please ensure that when it comes to Nigeria, you stand on what you need. You said that before, and I didn't interrupt you. You've said that before.
There's no amount of rebuttal you want to give that changes that. You can listen to advocacy again, and you probably understand it better.
I don't want to change your advocacy. You have a right to it.
Okay, so for me, you can't hurt me and tell me how to react. If Aisha chooses to sit as a sign of defiance towards the change of the national anthem, that's her call. I don't think she deserves to be called out for that. And talking about opposition, right? There is no, what's the word again? That opposition are not opposing well, right? Again, there are no templates for these things. People oppose the way they know how to. People act the way they know how to get results best. So if noise making works for the opposition, let them make it. It gets things done. If entertaining works, if it gets the message across. Oppose however, advocate however you choose to advocate, as far as it works for you.
If I was in that room and that venue at the time when the national anthem was sung, I don't necessarily agree with the process of bringing the national anthem Would I stand up? Yes, I would. I would stand up. Not because I believe that the national item should be changed or not. It's because I believe in the symbol of what it represents. And, when you think about the national anthem, it doesn't stand in unison. It stands with the flag. It stands with the pledge. It stands with the symbol of our sovereignty. And so when we are called to say, to give that pledge or that whatever, we are called to respect and give obedience to that representation of Nigeria. So I would not have, sat down. Maybe I would have refused to sing it, but I would have been standing.
But do you know it?
Yes, I know it. And I know it. I mean, I know it, by heart, the first stanza anyway, not. And I think that, that is what Yinka's or Bibi's advocacy is about. I want to go away from all the ridiculous name calling.
Exactly, because a lot of name calling there.
I think that sometimes this is the problem we have, that when we want to have adult conversations, when it starts off with name calling,
exactly,
it will only
it takes away.
It doesn't go well. We can have this conversation, and there's a lot of conversation we can have about this subject.
Absolutely.
The process was problematic. All right, you can't pass a law in 4 or 5 days. Okay, from first reading to the end of it. It doesn't work. I mean, there's a problem with that in itself. It's a law. Yes, we agree it's a law. We agree that we are not lawless people. We are obedient, law abiding citizens. And so we must obey that law. But when you look at this many issues that we have in this country, we have inflation that is skyrocketing. Full inflation is going away. We have insecurity. We have this issue of the local government autonomy that they could have done with amended the constitution. Those are more pressing issues that the process, this fast-track process could have solved. So there's a lot of conversation that we can have around that process. And I think that, maybe what you can try to say is that your advocacy or your defiance could have been more channeled than that. But then, Yinka Ogunubi.
Exactly.
Aisha Yusuf. You are Aisha Yusuf. And you have your brand of,
defiance.
And it works for you. If I try what you did, it won't work for me. And I think that
it didn't work for her either.
And I think that's my position.
There's a whole advocacy on me instead of the people who stood.
My own is you guys ended his advocacy with let's leave the attention economy to entertainers. We work really hard. It's not just for attention. A lot goes into being an entertainer. It's not just about optics and attention. I take exception to that, but it's okay. I don't think Aisha is the problem. She has handled herself. I cannot speak for her. I will not speak for her. I am my own person. But you mentioned decadence, and I said decadence is something that lawmakers engage in freely every day without recourse to anyone. Our passport, we're not respected abroad. We are not. Once you show the green passport, you can literally see the faces of the people. They see you as somebody who is shady already. Ghana is being visa free. And trust me, the young people actually have eyes and can see what is going on. That's all I have to say.